When learning about history's great dictators, we tend to think of them as these unstoppable forces that could have never been stopped, that toppled the establishment overnight. We think of them through their Kristallnachts, marches on Rome, and their rallies. We often forget how little it would have taken to collapse their regimes before they even started, and how these dictators still had to use the democratic institutions to make their visions come to light, and just how fragile the regimes were in the beginning. The Nazis didn't take power for a coup. Instead, they gradually built up their popularity, taking more and more seats in the Reichstag over a period of years. And they didn't even have a majority. They had to form coalitions with parties like the German National People's Party. Their entire dictatorship was based on one act which could have easily failed to pass. The Enabling Act gave Hitler the power to pass laws without Parliament's permission. And the only reason it got the 2/3 majority it needed was because the conservative Zentrum Party didn't put up any resistance. And Russia, pre-Putin, just 30 years ago, used to be a democracy. Putin silenced independent broadcasters through license cancellations and anti-extremism laws. Opposition politicians were arrested or barred from running on technicalities. Presidential terms were extended from 4 to 6 years, and Putin reset his term limit while also filling the Russian parliament with fake loyalist parties. Dictatorship, especially modern dictatorship, doesn't appear overnight, and it appears through the gradual erosion of democratic institutions. And it could always be us. Weimar Germany was one of the most liberal societies in existence in its time. Liberal democracies are often undermined slowly rather than flashy moments. And when democracy is being undermined, it's often too hard to see until it's too late. And that's exactly what will happen here in the UK in the future. And a party is rising that, like United Russia and the Nazis, preys on people's fears and will use such fears as a scapegoat to pursue their authoritarian policy. A party that, just like the latter, is hard to see as authoritarian outright, and who has a skillful leader with a million faces, who can manipulate people to turn against each other while he pursues corporate interest and corruption. Rally mass support while his manifesto is explicitly authoritarian and a framework for dictatorship. In the party, Reform UK, and the person, Nigel Farage. Reform UK promises to limit the power of the judiciary, leaving their power unchecked. And to dismantle the House of Lords who could possibly resist them and replace them with political appointees. They want to reduce voting rights by transforming the postal voting system and leave the European Convention of Human Rights, which would reduce the rights of minorities. They also want to limit free speech and censor the quote-unquote left-wing bias and correct ideology, and cut many regulations which would leave their business sponsors with unchecked power, and implement a quote-unquote patriotic education system, leaving them open for indoctrination, and ban quote-unquote transgender ideology, and freeze non-essential immigration. This would leave some of the most vulnerable in our society open to abuse from the government. Obviously, these policies are not outwardly stated by Reform UK's politicians, but they're explicitly stated in their manifesto. This is clearly a framework for dictatorship. And this will do what the Nazis and Putin done before them, slowly dismantle a democracy in front of our eyes without us even knowing. It's now our duty to educate and be vigilant, stop the rise of this authoritarianism, and keep Britain's role as a protector of freedom in the world. Our democracy is not yet lost, but it is wavering, and we have to resist to stop this through peaceful means, and hopefully build a Britain where this will never be a threat again, where authoritarianism is just a memory.